Welcome back to the channel Rare Coins All World. If you're a collector or just someone who enjoys finding hidden treasures in your spare change, then you're in for a real treat today. We're diving into one of the most fascinating pieces of U.S. coinage, the 1951 Lincoln Wheat penny. Now, you might be thinking, a penny? That's worth just 1 cent. Well, think again, because this particular penny has a story to tell, and it's one that could make you a lot of money if you have the right one in your collection. Stick around, because the value of this coin might just blow your mind. Let's start by setting the stage. The Lincoln Wheat penny, introduced in 1909, was the first U.S. coin to feature an actual person, President Abraham Lincoln, on the front. This was a game-changer in the world of coinage. The back of the coin, featuring 2 stalks of wheat, became iconic, and that's why these pennies are often called wheat pennies. The design lasted until 1958, and it's one of the most beloved and sought-after coins in U.S. history. Now, when it comes to the 1951 Lincoln Wheat penny, this is a coin that may seem pretty common on the surface, but don't let that fool you. This penny is a part of a batch of coins that were minted during an era of great historical importance. The U.S. was recovering from World War II, and the economy was booming. In 1951, the U.S. Mint struck millions of these coins, but what really set certain 1951 pennies apart are the subtle but incredibly important errors and variations that can make them exceptionally valuable. Let's talk about those errors. The most notable error that makes the 1951 Lincoln Wheat penny so valuable is the 1951 D/D mintmark variety. This error is the result of a mistake during the minting process, where the mintmark for Denver, D, was struck over another D mintmark, creating a double impression. This small but significant mistake is one that collectors go crazy for. You see, this error occurs when a coin is struck with a die that still has remnants of a previous mintmark. It's a classic example of the kind of imperfection that collectors will pay top dollar for. If you're lucky enough to find one of these coins with a double mintmark, you could be holding on to something worth a small fortune. This error coin is particularly rare because it wasn't something that occurred in large quantities, and many of these pennies were quickly circulated and forgotten in pockets or jarred away. The 1951 D/D error is a real prize for collectors, and it's one of the top reasons why this coin is valued so highly. Another variation of the 1951 Lincoln Wheat penny that draws attention is the coin's grading. Coins that have been kept in exceptional condition, especially those that have been carefully stored and preserved, can command a premium price. If your 1951 penny is in mint state, or as close to it as possible, you could find that its value skyrockets. A coin with minimal wear, sharp details, and no signs of corrosion can go from being a simple penny to being a sought-after rarity, but that's not all. Some 1951 pennies are also prized for their toning, the way the copper metal has developed a colorful patina over the years. Toning can give the coin a beautiful range of hues from subtle blues and purples to fiery reds and oranges. Coins with attractive toning are highly collectible, and they tend to fetch higher prices, especially when combined with a strong, clear design. The 1951 Lincoln Wheat penny is also a part of the larger family of coins that form the backbone of numismatics today. Over the years, it has earned its place as a key date in many collectors' albums. But it's the unique, rare specimens that really make this coin so special. Now, if you're thinking about how much your 1951 Lincoln Wheat penny could be worth, it's important to know that the value can vary significantly based on its condition, rarity, and any mint errors it might have. The most common version of the 1951 penny, in average condition, is typically worth just a few cents. But, as we've already mentioned, if you have a 1951 D/D error coin, or a coin in exceptional condition, you're looking at a much higher price. So, how much are we talking about here? Well, if your 1951 Lincoln Wheat penny has the right error, in the right condition, it could be worth as much as $40,000. Yes, you heard that right. $40,000. That's the kind of value a rare, high-quality 1951 Lincoln Wheat penny could bring in today's market. It's incredible, isn't it? What might seem like a small, insignificant coin can hold so much value if it has the right characteristics. If you've got a 1951 Lincoln Wheat penny sitting in your collection or tucked away in a drawer somewhere, it's definitely worth taking a closer look. Check for any signs of errors like the double mint mark, examine the condition closely, and make sure you keep it safe. Who knows, this humble little penny might just turn out to be worth a lot more than you ever imagined. Today, we have something truly special in store for you, a coin that might just be hiding in your collection or even in your spare change. We're talking about the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a piece of U.S. coinage that holds far more value than its humble 1-cent face value suggests. Stick with us as we uncover the fascinating history and the rare features of this coin that make it a true gem for collectors. Now, before we dive into the specifics of why the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny is so valuable, let's first take a quick trip back in time to 1917. The United States was deep into World War I, and the world was in the midst of huge social and economic changes. In the same year, the U.S. Mint was continuing its production of the Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin that had been in circulation since 1909. Featuring the iconic image of President Abraham Lincoln on the front and 2 stalks of wheat on the reverse, the wheat penny became an instant classic. But what makes the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny so special? Let's take a closer look. First of all, it's important to note that the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny was minted in large quantities. Over 200 million coins were struck that year, making it not exactly rare in terms of production. However, there are some key factors that can make this particular coin much more valuable than most others from the same year. For example, the 1917 penny comes in 2 major types, the 1917 regular issue and the 1917 double die obverse variety. The double die obverse is a highly sought-after variety, and it's where the magic happens. This error occurs when a coin is struck more than once, resulting in a noticeable doubling effect on the image of Abraham Lincoln. The doubling can be seen most clearly on the lettering of the word Liberty and the date, 1917. This type of error happens when the die used to strike the coin gets misaligned and is used to strike a coin more than once, leading to the doubling effect. It's a subtle error, but one that collectors prize. It's one of those imperfections that make the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny such an exciting find. If you're lucky enough to have a 1917 double die obverse penny in your possession, then you've got a rare coin on your hands. Double die varieties are highly collectible because they are a clear indicator of a mistake during the minting process, yet it's these imperfections that make them so appealing to numismatists. As you can imagine, these error coins are much more valuable than their standard counterparts. But even if your 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny doesn't have the double die error, it still holds significant value, especially if it's in great condition. The condition of a coin, or its grade, plays a huge role in determining its market value. Coins that have been well preserved over the years, with minimal wear and clear details, can command much higher prices than coins that have been circulated heavily. So, if your 1917 penny has retained sharp details, full lettering, and hasn't been damaged by corrosion or wear, it could be worth far more than a typical 1917 penny. You might also be wondering about other variations of the 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny. While there are no other major types of errors associated with this coin, its rarity can increase based on the specific minting location. The U.S. Mint produced the 1917 penny in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, and pennies minted in San Francisco, marked with an S mint mark, can sometimes fetch higher prices due to their relative scarcity compared to those minted in Philadelphia. The 1917 penny is a coin with so much potential. Whether it's the double die obverse error or just a well-preserved, high-grade coin, it has the potential to be worth far more than you might expect. As you may have guessed, a coin with the 1917 double die obverse or one that is in exceptional condition can be worth thousands of dollars. But here's the real kicker. When you take into account the rarity of these error coins and the demand for them among collectors, a 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny in prime condition or with an error could be worth as much as $80,000. That's right, $80,000. Yes, it's hard to believe, but a rare, high-quality 1917 Lincoln Wheat Penny, especially one with the double die error, can command a price that is absolutely staggering. So, if you're out there searching through your coin collection, or even just checking the change in your pocket, keep an eye out for this particular year and error. You might be holding onto a coin that could change your life. To sum it up, the 1917 Lincoln Wheat penny is far more than just another coin in your collection. It's a piece of American history, a coin that has captured the fascination of collectors for decades. Whether you've got one with a double die error or simply a coin in excellent condition, the value of this coin is undeniable. The best part? You don't need to be a seasoned collector to find one of these rare pennies. They're out there, waiting to be discovered. Today, we have something that might just be hiding in your collection or even in your loose change, a 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny. It may seem like a simple coin, but believe me, this penny holds more history and value than you might think. First, let's set the scene and travel back to the year 1950. The world was still recovering from the aftermath of World War II, and the U.S. was undergoing significant social and economic changes. It was also a time when the iconic Lincoln Wheat penny was still in circulation, a coin that had been minted for over 4 decades by this point. The obverse of the penny featured the revered image of President Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse showcased 2 stalks of wheat, symbolizing America's agricultural roots. But what makes the 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny so unique, and why should you care? Well, that's exactly what we're about to dive into. While many people think of the 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny as just another regular penny, the truth is that it's a coin with some fascinating rarity and characteristics that can significantly increase its value, especially if you have one of the rarer varieties. Let's start with the basics. The 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny was minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each of these mint marks plays a role in determining the value of the coin. Of course, Philadelphia minted coins, marked with no mint mark, were the most common, but those minted in San Francisco and Denver are considered rarer, making them more valuable for collectors. Now, what truly makes the 1950 penny stand out? It's all about the rarity of the specific coin types and certain minting errors that can make this penny worth so much more than you'd expect. One of the major factors contributing to the increased value of certain 1950 pennies is the poor strike quality that was common during its production. Some of these coins were not struck cleanly, leaving behind noticeable defects. These imperfections, such as weak strikes, where parts of the design, particularly Lincoln's features or the wheat stalks, are blurry or faded, can actually increase the value of a coin in the collector's market, because these irregularities are seen as errors or flaws from the minting process. Then, there's the 1950 D variety, minted in Denver. While many of these coins were produced, certain ones, especially those in mint condition with clear, crisp details, are much harder to find. This scarcity, paired with the increasing demand for vintage coins, means that even a regular 1950 D penny in excellent condition can be worth quite a bit more than a typical penny. This makes the 1950 D penny a great coin to keep an eye out for if you're a collector looking to add valuable pieces to your collection. But the real magic happens when we talk about the 1950s penny. Pennies minted in San Francisco are often rarer, especially in high grades. If you come across a 1950s Lincoln Wheat penny in exceptional condition, you could be holding a rare treasure. San Francisco-produced coins are not as commonly found, and those that have survived the decades with minimal wear and damage are highly prized among collectors. Now, let's talk about the potential value. A regular 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny might not fetch you a fortune, but when you consider certain rare varieties, especially those in high grades or with minting flaws, the value can skyrocket. For example, a 1950 D penny in mint condition can sell for a few $100s, but if you're holding onto one of the rare San Francisco mint-marked coins or a high-grade specimen, you could be looking at a significantly higher price. What about that penny with a special error or a flaw that collectors just can't get enough of? Well, if your 1950 penny is in exceptional shape or has one of these rare characteristics, you could potentially sell it for as much as $45,000. Yes, you heard that right, $45,000. It may seem unbelievable, but the right 1950 penny, especially one with minting errors or rare characteristics, can fetch a price that's far beyond what you might expect from an ordinary 1-cent piece. It's this kind of rarity, coupled with the increased interest in vintage coins, that drives prices up in the numismatic world. So, as you can see, the 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny is far more than just a simple penny. Its rarity, minting flaws, and the various varieties it comes in give it an allure that many collectors simply can't resist. If you happen to stumble upon one of these in your collection, or maybe you have one already sitting in your coin jar, don't rush to spend it. Take a closer look and consider getting it appraised. You may be holding onto something that could be worth much more than you realize. Remember, the world of coin collecting is filled with treasures waiting to be discovered. And as we've seen with the 1950 Lincoln Wheat penny, even the most seemingly ordinary coins can hold great value for the right collector. Today, we're diving into one of the most beloved coins of American history, the 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny. At first glance, the 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny might not seem like much. After all, pennies are the smallest denomination in U.S. currency. But when you start to peel back the layers of history, rarity, and special minting characteristics, this seemingly modest coin turns into a valuable treasure. Let's explore why the 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny has caught the attention of collectors and numismatists alike. First, a bit of background. The Lincoln Wheat penny has been in circulation since 1909, and it has become an iconic symbol of the American economy. For over 40 years, the coin featured the image of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, with 2 stalks of wheat on the reverse, a nod to America's agricultural roots. The design was simple, yet powerful. However, after 1958, the wheat design was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial, making the Lincoln Wheat penny from earlier years highly sought after, especially among those who cherish coins from the early to mid-20th century. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny falls within this golden age of U.S. coinage, and it's important to understand the factors that contribute to its value today. While many 1952 pennies are in circulation or in typical collector albums, a few key features set certain examples apart from the rest, making them much more valuable. Let's start by looking at the minting process. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny was produced in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia mint struck the most coins, making these pennies more common. However, the Denver and San Francisco minted pennies are considered rarer, which immediately adds to their value. If you find a 1952 penny from either of these locations in excellent condition, you may be holding onto something special, but there's more to the story. While mint marks and the location of the strike are important, what really drives the value of certain 1952 Lincoln Wheat pennies is the condition they are in and the presence of any errors or misprints. Coins that have been struck poorly or that have unusual characteristics can be incredibly valuable to collectors. One of the main types of errors that can affect the 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny is what's known as a double die error. This error occurs when a coin is struck more than once by the same die, causing a faint overlap of the design. For pennies, this means you may see Lincoln's image or the date 1952 slightly misaligned or doubled. Coins with this error are highly sought after and can be worth significantly more than their counterparts without such flaws. Other types of errors that can make the 1952 penny stand out include off-center strikes, where the design is stamped in the wrong position, and die cracks, which are small fissures that appear on the die and transfer to the coin. While these may seem like imperfections, they are actually considered unique features that make the coin even more desirable to collectors. It's all about the rarity and the history these coins carry with them. So, how much could your 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny be worth if it has these rare traits? Well, let's talk numbers. A typical 1952 penny in good condition may only be worth a few cents to a couple of dollars. However, if you find a 1952 S, minted in San Francisco, in ungraded or mint state condition, or if you have one with a double die error or another minting defect, the value of your coin can skyrocket. The right 1952 penny can fetch anywhere from a few hundred to a few $1,000s in the right market, but wait, there's a specific 1952 penny that has become especially valuable, if it's in perfect condition, without wear and tear, and carries one of those rare minting defects. It could potentially be worth as much as $43,000. Yes, you heard that right. $43,000. That's the value of a 1952 Lincoln Wheat penny with the right rarity, condition, and error, an incredible amount for a simple 1-cent piece. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and sometimes, it's the coins you least expect that can turn into real treasures. The 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny is a perfect example of how one simple coin can tell a story of history, craftsmanship, and even mistakes that lead to incredibly valuable rarities. So, next time you're going through your spare change or sifting through your collection, keep an eye out for this penny. If you come across a 1952 penny with a double die error or in pristine condition, you might just be holding on to a small fortune. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of the 1952 Lincoln Wheat Penny and learned a thing or two about what makes certain pennies so rare and valuable. If you happen to find one of these gems in your collection, don't hesitate to have it appraised by a professional. You might just have a coin that's worth a lot more than you ever imagined. Today, we have a coin that is sure to catch your attention, the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny. At first glance, the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny may seem like just another piece of American currency from the mid-20th century. But let me tell you, this little coin holds more than just sentimental value. For serious collectors, this penny is a key piece to have, and there are a few key reasons why this coin continues to captivate the numismatic community. Before we dive into its rarity and value, let's take a moment to appreciate the rich history behind the Lincoln Wheat Penny series. The series was introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. Featuring Lincoln's portrait on the obverse and 2 stalks of wheat on the reverse, the coin was a symbol of America's agricultural roots. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was produced from 1909 until 1958, and during that time, it became a beloved piece of American currency. The 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny is part of the last year of this iconic design before it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial design in 1959. While 1957 pennies are not as rare as some of their earlier counterparts, they still hold significant value among collectors due to the specific characteristics that make them special. Let's talk about the rarity of the 1957 penny. The Philadelphia Mint produced the bulk of these coins, but a smaller amount came from Denver and San Francisco. These mint marks play a crucial role in determining how rare the coin might be. The 1957 D, minted in Denver, and the 1957 S, minted in San Francisco, are particularly sought after by collectors. The scarcity of these minted coins, especially in uncirculated or pristine condition, drives their value up. So, if you come across a 1957 penny with one of these mint marks, you might be holding something that's more than just a penny. Now, let's get into the real treasure, the errors and unique features that make certain 1957 pennies incredibly valuable. One of the most fascinating things about coin collecting is how small imperfections or unique features can make a coin worth far more than its face value. In fact, errors like double die or off-center strikes can turn a seemingly ordinary penny into a rare, valuable piece of history. For example, one of the most common errors in the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny is the double die error. This occurs when the coin's die is misaligned during the minting process, causing the design to be struck more than once. As a result, you might notice that the date, or even the image of Lincoln, appears slightly doubled. This type of error is highly prized by collectors, and a 1957 penny with a double die error can fetch a substantial amount of money. But that's not all. Another key feature that collectors are always on the lookout for is the die crack or planchet error. These are small imperfections in the die or the metal used to strike the coin, and they can create interesting visual effects. Some 1957 pennies have visible die cracks or odd indentations that make them stand out from the rest. While these might be seen as flaws in the coin's design, they are, in fact, what makes these pennies valuable and unique. Condition is also a major factor in determining the value of the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny. While a worn penny might only be worth a few cents, a 1957 penny that's in mint state or uncirculated condition can be worth a lot more. The higher the grade, the higher the price. Pennies that have been preserved in excellent condition, with little to no wear and tear, are highly sought after in the market. So, how much can you expect your 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny to be worth? If you have a 1957 penny in exceptional condition, or if you've discovered a rare error such as the double die or off-center strike, you could be looking at a coin worth significantly more than its face value. In fact, a 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny with these traits can be valued at $46,000. Yes, that's right. $46,000 for a penny. It's truly amazing how a simple piece of change can hold such incredible value. But remember, not every 1957 penny is worth that much. It takes the right combination of mint mark, condition, and error to make this coin worth a small fortune. So, if you're lucky enough to come across one of these rare specimens, it's time to get it appraised. You might have just found yourself a hidden treasure, and there you have it. The 1957 Lincoln Wheat penny is a fantastic example of how rare and valuable a coin can become with the right history, characteristics, and errors. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, always keep an eye out for those small details that make a coin stand out. The 1957 penny proves that even a seemingly common coin can become a rare and valuable gem if it's got the right attributes. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into the world of the 1957 Lincoln Wheat penny. I hope you found this information useful and fascinating. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos about rare coins and valuable treasures. And as always, if you've got a coin collection of your own or you've come across a rare find, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it.